Hello there, and welcome to my review for Core Keeper, which has been recently released in version 1.0, and this video's goal is to determine whether or not it is really that much of a good game as the reviews try to tell you. So we're gonna go over what the game is, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and a summary afterwards, as per usual. So first up, what do we have here? It is a underground sandbox RPG with survival, base building, farming, crafting, mining components, and it is also a co-op game. So the game is very exploration heavy. You see, this is the starting point. That's my little tiny miniature base. And when I look around here, there's lots of ground to cover. There's really a vast world to be explored with bits and bobs that are already pre-handcrafted. This was not me, this was already around. So you have procedurally generated stuff, you have also monsters fighting, an RPG combat system, and also a cooking and a skill system. So all in all, these blend together into a, feeling of retro Stardew Valley Underground. Well, put it onto your own liking, how you want to condensate these things. The game has almost no story, which is for me personally more a good thing than a bad thing. There's no dialogues, no nothing. It's all about just condensed gameplay, exploration, and a sense of wonder what's around the next corner. So that's pretty much it. It has a very solid co-op game. It's moddable, that should be also mentioned, but more about these things in a hot minute when we're talking about the details of the game. So first up, I want to cover what is good about it. So this game is really in its exploration a wonderful experience. There is always something to discover. Here we only see the starter area. The starter biome is interesting enough. There's lots of biomes, there's lots of monsters and things to discover. What you hear here around the corner here is a boss fight, and there's really plenty of things to find. The prefabricated structures are really always interesting to find, and by just digging around, you will find plenty of things that you will enjoy. I really like this about the game. The cooking system is also something I want to point out as something extremely cool. So in this game you have cooking as a two-component system, and just to demonstrate you, we can combine the mushroom with the bomb pepper. These combine then together to a new meal, and then we can afterwards take the same mushroom and combine it with a glow tulip, and we can combine the glow tulip with the glow tulip, and that results in a massive amount of recipes. And it all boils down to a system where every cooking ingredient has certain stats that it contributes to the food, and you can combine wildly with it. It is really cool. It's very deep yet simple, and I enjoyed it quite thoroughly. The crafting, well, it is very simple. You gather ores, you smelt them to bars, and then you craft new workbenches like anvils and new machines, new tools. Oh, you know the drill. There's nothing much to write home about here. And you upgrade then to the next tier, and to the next tier, and to the next tier. You slay bosses, and then you upgrade to the next tier. This is very familiar, but what is really to mention, the gear options, the combat options, and the stuff that you find here for your character are pretty cool. I enjoy that. There's a lot of fun to be found. Also, there's lots of lootable gear, so you're not only depending on your craftables, and that in itself I'm really enjoying. Altogether, I also like the fact that if you are not building any mob farms, you have a very peaceful life here underground. You're not getting raided or attacked or anything. You can take the life as chill or as adventurous as you want to. This is something that I really enjoy as a baseline setting, and I really like that. Also, the graphics are pretty cool. I personally like this retro graphics. It really takes me back to times where which I like to play. But it's basically one of those games which I like to play as a kid, but it's a sandbox game now, where I get to build everything that I want the way I want to. This is really fun. All in all, there's a skill system involved, and all these elements blend together in a very rich and varied experience. There's really a lot to discover. That world is really big. There's altogether like 15, 17 bosses or something that all unlock new gameplay features when you beat them and such. So, really, lots of things to find. So, I don't want to spoil you too much here at that point and go right into what's not so good about the game. So, first up, it's a very cluttery crafting system. Here you only see the tip of the iceberg. There's a glass smelter that only smelters glass. Then there is a workbench. Here, the glass workbench, which only processes this glass. Then there's the electronics table, which also only processes parts of that. And items can't be taken from chests while crafting at the bench. They always must be in the inventory. That is pretty annoying, especially since you are crafting lots of benches, okay? This game has really a fetish about amount of benches, which is amazing to me. You see here in the first two tiers, you have the salvage and repair bench, the livestock bench, the workbenches at least can be substituted with this thing here. You have the furnace as its own element, you have the cooking pot as its own element, you have the glass stuff that I've been talking about, the anvil, which is luckily also upgradable, but all these parts, they clutter up your base in a way that is insanely obnoxious in the long run. Luckily, these things can be alleviated via modding, like I said initially, but there is also another controversy behind that. You need to create an account with a third-party modding platform instead of using the Steam Workshop. This is something I'm really not too happy with, but only out of one reason. They didn't go the Factorio way of things, where you have no Steam Workshop, but it's super easy to get it running in your game. No, you have to log into another thing, and you have to create yet another account. And these days, I totally get everybody who's just annoyed by that, because I can't count how many accounts I have somewhere anymore, and I'm really not happy with every game forcing yet another account down my throat. And this is something, well, on the bright side, the mod support is there and it is good. You can really make the game work a lot better with the mods. You just have to make an account, and it is not that much of a big deal, but I just wish they didn't, okay? I just wish. Next point on my bad list, the controls can feel at times a little bit clunky. You see that mining is okay and all at this point, as you see, but once you get the real good tools, it is really just one click and you have a hole in your base, because you just rip down your walls like that. And these things, I don't know. At times I really struggle with controlling my character more than with other games, even though I'm already several hours deep in, and it is something which I realized, yeah, it's something about the controls of the game feels a little bit wobbly and weirdly responding. It is something you get used to, by all means. It is nothing where I would say, oh, the game is horrible because of that, but it is certainly something you gotta get used to first before it does click on you. And, well, I can't sugarcoat it, but that skill system is boring. You gain experience points for all the things you do. You do mining, you gain mining XP, and so on and so forth. And every 5 points, you gain a skill point that you can distribute. Well, every 5 points means 20 points in total, because we can level up these up to 100, which means we can select one skill out of these. And due to the fact how it's organized, if I want this skill but that skill, well, screw me. I can't do anything about that because it don't work. I personally, well, maybe you can skill some way that it still works. The point here is the bonus effects here aren't too crazy interesting or anything. It is more like a checklist thing. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. It is in itself, there are cool things in it, stuff that I enjoy leveling up and all, but I feel like there could have been done more on that end. It's just like, I like skill systems that alter the game and change the way that I do things. And, well, this is more of an incremental increase skill system. Don't expect too much of it, and you're going to enjoy it, but compared to skill systems of other games, well, I've seen better, is all I want to say. And last but not least, this game feels at points a little bit dated. So, like for example, the fact that we can't craft out of boxes while we're standing right next to the thing. The fact that I can't pass this pot here because I just, these little things. It's not horrible, don't get me wrong, but, well, the game is truly old school in many ways. I personally don't mind. I think this is a charm to that's there, but I think some people would not like that to some degree. Now, moving on to the summary, because I really don't have much more bad things to say. There's not much bad to say about the game in total. Summarizing, this is a very, very captivating retro sandbox RPG survival game. You really get to do a lot of things. I often get lost in the course of things because there's always something to farm, something to explore, some room to build, some part of your base that you want to redesign. It really gets me into a very, very satisfying gameplay loop that I enjoyed thoroughly. The co-op is where this game personally for me lives up. I'm playing a lot with my wife. We're enjoying ourselves a lot. We constantly are either building, exploring, or, enjoying what's out there. The prefabricated things out there are fun to explore, for the first time at least. I don't know how it is about replayability, but seeing how moddable the game is, I think there's a lot of things that still can be done. Also, considering how cheap this game is, gotta say, there's really a lot of content in the box. You get a lot of value for your money here, and that is something that I really gotta say. If you are into this kind of game, there's basically nothing wrong you can do about that, considering how little money you have to invest there. Currently, it's even on sale while I'm recording this, and in general, $20 in my region. This is a very, very fair pricing considering how many hours of game fun you can get out of that if this is your kind of game. The only thing that I do want to say at the end of the day, the controls of this game are still something where I sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable with. But, well, that's about it. Seriously, I don't have to moan much about that, except for this. And what's also worth mentioning, this game has been fully released in 1.0 recently, and the devs have made a clear statement that they're not done with developing Core Keeper here. They're going to do more, and I'm very much looking forward to that, because the solid impression of this game is really cool. I quickly forget that this is a indie production, because at many ends it feels like a AAA production of sorts, one of the famous JRPG makers, and getting me into that kind of feeling, that is an achievement in itself, and I gotta say, Core Keeper is really, really fun. Try it out. You always have that refund window on Steam. I like to stress that out. I personally think this is if Minecraft and Terraria and Stardew Valley and those games are something you enjoyed playing, give this one a try. It's certainly worth your time, and made with love. Lots of good things, and the bad stuff I can easily look over it. So, full-on recommendation. I think this is a grandiose game. See you guys next time, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.